I think we had a Dynasty mock draft was right after the NFL draft. So we've been grinding away with best ball. I think we have a better understanding of the landscape now than we did then. And at the same time, I have spent the last couple days tweaking our Dynasty rankings over there on Locals to get ready for our June update that will be posted tomorrow, of course. So figured, hell, let's go. Let's have my rankings pulled up on one page. Let's pull up the Dynasty draft on the other so we can see if these rankings are actually ready to be released. But let's not waste any time. Let's hop right in here. We are going to be drafting at the 103. This is going to be a 12-team Superflex tight end premium format. Now, I'm sorry if you don't play in a Superflex league and instead you play in a one quarterback league. Well, I got great news for you. You can still watch this. Just push the quarterbacks down the draft board. I mean, start getting those quarterbacks off the board. And instead of the first round, quite possibly you wait until the third round to get Josh Allen. But let's not waste any more time. Let's go through. Let's start this draft. You are going to have Dill Hud here at the 101. They take Josh Allen. And I set ourselves up at the 103 literally just so I could do this. So I didn't have to think about it at all. We are going to go through. We're going to take Justin Herbert. There's nothing I need to say. If you have the clear top three being Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Justin Herbert in their own respective tiers. Now, if you want to make an argument whether or not you want to go Mahomes or Herbert at 2, hell, that's up to you. I think that is going to be personal preference. I would go with Patrick Mahomes at the 102 just in case anybody wants to know that. Brady says he just missed getting in this draft. I am sorry, my man. And no, we do not send out the links for these mock drafts here on the live stream. Instead, we are sending out the links to these mock drafts over there on Locals. Now, we already referenced Locals. That's where our rankings are going to be uploaded. And yes, that would cost money. That is going to be behind the paywall on Locals. I believe the paywall is set up for $7 a month, and there's a discount if you sign up for an entire year. But I got great news for you. If you're not a part of the flock on Locals, hell, go click the link in the description, the link in the live chat, the link in the comment section. It's completely free to sign up. And there's a ton of free content we do over there. I answer every single question asked on Locals. I think that's behind the paywall, but we do extra live streams that you can watch for free. You can see me answer a bunch of questions. You can also get in a ton of leagues over there on Locals for free. It's almost just like an overall Dynasty community draft board, the way that people will just go through and post their orphan teams, the way people will go through and post their startup drafts. Okay, so there are no big surprises so far. You have Jonathan Taylor at the 104. The 104 is where you begin to have a conversation on if you should be going Jonathan Taylor or a quarterback. I've had a lot of questions regarding this. I would say in a 10-team format where the supply and demand ratio of the quarterback position isn't going to be crazy. In a 10-team league where you can easily get Ryan Tannehill in the 13th round, hell, I'm fine going Jonathan Taylor at the 104. If it's going to be a 12-team league, I probably prefer going with the quarterbacks in the tier of Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson. I would have Watson in there as well, but that's just between you and me. I would probably end up going with those quarterbacks, but I'm not going to blame anybody if they want to go with Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, clearly an extremely young, talented player that I don't think you can have too many arguments. But Brady says puppy draft after this, question mark. I actually was going to do a puppy draft after this, but I told my family I would drive to the other side of town to meet them to watch Top Gun 2. So I'm excited. I know it's not Top Gun 2. I haven't seen Top Gun since like 2014 probably, but I heard this one's fantastic. I heard this is one of the best movies that's hit theaters and I don't know how long. Last time I went to the movie theater, probably before COVID, probably like 2019. I'm pretty excited. Let me know in the chat if you have seen it. Okay, so Najee Harris does go at the 112. Really like the Najee Harris pick. Love the Kyle Pitts pick. And then you follow it up with Dak Prescott. I don't think we have to say anything with this draft so far. This has been an incredibly standard draft going Najee, Dak Prescott at the 1-2 turn. I think once we get to the middle of the second round, this is where you're going to have some conversations. Now, I will say a lot of people probably wouldn't agree with the Deshaun Watson pick at 10. I'm going Watson. I think we're looking at Deshaun Watson saying, hell, even if he gets suspended half the season, his floor since he's entered the NFL has been a top 5 quarterback on a points per game basis. Like Deshaun Watson's worst season in the NFL has been better than Joe Burrow's best season. And he's 1 year older. Now, of course, If you're an actual NFL team, you prefer Burrow. But Watson has that rushing upside, which makes him more valuable in fantasy. Noah says, definitely IMAX. I will be watching it in IMAX. It looks like a lot of people have watched it. Okay, so Mark Andrews goes to the 204. Really like reaching on Mark Andrews here. As we said, this is the tight end premium format. But if you had a chance to read our Dynasty research book, which we put God knows how many hours, over 100 pages of quality information into that Dynasty research book, available on flockfantasy.com, link in the description. But you'll see that the difference between a tight end premium format and a non-tight end premium league, in my opinion, not much. Like, even if it was a non-tight end premium league and you wanted to go Mark Andrews in the middle of the second based on his age and the production that we had this past season, hell, I'm fine going Mark Andrews in the beginning of the second. Deandre Swift goes here. I love the CeeDee Lamb pick at the 207. I think with Lamb, if you're looking at the bumped up target share he should have this upcoming season, sign me up. And do we need to talk about Trey Lance at the 202? I feel bad because I know there are some people that are probably not a part of the flock watching this going, oh my God, Lance went at the 202, what's going on? I'll say real quick, if you're not a part of the flock, fix your life, subscribe to the channel. But Trey Lance at the 202, I think that's where he should go. I mean, if we're looking at Lance stepping into the best situation, arguably, I don't want to say the best, at least top 5 behind a top 3 offensive line, according to PFF, with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Kyle Shanahan. And if you look at his rushing skill set in college, literally the only quarterbacks that match that today in the NFL are Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. I don't care if he's a bad real-life NFL quarterback. He's going to be starting for the 49ers this year. He's going to have an elite rushing ceiling. Fine with Trey Lance at the 202. Now, let's go through and let's make our selection. A couple different players that I'd be looking at here. I'm going to go ahead and take Breece Hall. I think you will never in a real money dynasty league. Like, I don't know what's up with Sleeper's ADP. I don't know why it's off. I don't think you would ever see someone take Christian McCaffrey. I don't think you would ever see someone take Austin Eckler over Breece Hall. Breece Hall should be a top 5 running back the day he steps on the field from a dynasty fantasy football perspective because of his prospect profile. I will say Michael Carter Jr. is probably going to have a receiving role at the very beginning of the season. I've actually had Michael Carter Jr. as my most drafted player on Underdog, which is painful to say, but hell, he's going as like the running back 44, 45 there. So I'm like, okay, on a 0 running back team, Michael Carter will have a receiving role at the very beginning of the year. And then beyond that, he is just the handcuff to Breece Hall, which I think at that price point is completely fine. Jalen Hurts would be, in my opinion, the most common pick at the 210. Like, if you're in just a regular dynasty league, I think the majority of drafters are going to be going with Jalen Hurts over Breece Hall, given A.J. Brown's presence in Philadelphia. Now, I am going to hesitate doing that. Just hesitate ever so slightly. And we've talked about this before, but I agree from a redraft perspective, Jalen Hurts, an elite level quarterback. Jalen Hurts, given his own rushing upside, given the situation he's playing in, very similar to Trey Lance, a player that we are confident on a points per game basis in fantasy football, he will be elite. However, given the team investment, slightly, just ever so slightly concerned that Jalen Hurts maybe doesn't have the same level of job security. Okay. Now, I think the guy we would want is probably, where is he on this list? Am I blind? Oh, no, T. Higgins went at the 301. I was like, okay, we definitely prefer Higgins here. So I think from a dynasty perspective, I am not too excited about this selection. We were calling him an overdrafted player when he was going in the middle of the second round. We were screaming that you had to be taking T. Higgins over him, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, from a dynasty fantasy football perspective, we're going to take Jaylen Waddle here, saying, okay, well, maybe after this season, he can be the wide receiver 1 in Miami. And maybe, hopefully, with how much money I've invested into Jaylen Waddle this season in best ball leagues, Tua Tagovailoa can go from being a bad quarterback, which objectively speaking, Tua Tagovailoa was a bad quarterback in 2021 and in 2020. You can't argue against it. And I'm the one taking Jaylen Waddle here. Okay? I'm the one taking Jaylen Waddle. Don't hate me for saying that Tua was bad last season. And I think if I was a betting man and I had $100 and they're like, okay, Mason, do you think Tua Tagovailoa is a top 10 quarterback in any measure this season? Do you think he's a top 10 quarterback in passing yards, in adjusted yards per attempt? Do you think he's a top 10 quarterback in fantasy? I'm betting no on every single one. However, if we're just talking pure talent, let me pull up what Jaylen Waddle did his rookie season. I actually just wrote Jaylen Waddle's profile in our draft guide. So Jaylen Waddle averaged 7.7 targets a game his rookie season and 63.4 receiving yards per game. If we go through and if we look at rookies that have done that since the year 2000, here is the list. Odell Beckham Jr., Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Julio Jones, AJ Green, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, and Jaylen freaking Waddle. That's the type of talent that he is. I hate the situation. Not excited about the quarterback play. Not excited about Tyreek Hill coming over. But it's Dynasty. So when it's Dynasty, I'm going to be more willing to just bet on the talent. Philip coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. I appreciate it. It says Antonio Gibson, a 2023 first, a 2023 second, 2 of those for Javonte Williams, Elijah Moore, and the 301. What are your thoughts? Okay, I think I would prefer Javonte Williams over a 2023 first. I think if we're looking at Elijah Moore in the 301 versus the 2023 seconds, probably taking the Elijah Moore side as well. So yeah, very rarely am I ever going to be telling people to trade away 2023 picks. You know, we have been the leaders in saying to accumulate as many of those picks as possible. We've already put out our 2023 rookie running back rankings, our 2023 rookie wide receiver rankings, our 2023 overall rankings and tiers, and we put out that mock draft. Like I've been talking about this rookie class for God knows how long. But if we're going to package essentially a first and 2 seconds, get Javonte Williams, Elijah Moore in the 301, I'll take Javonte Williams. Okay, so you have Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill going off the board here in the middle of the first. So it looks like maybe people are starting to get used to these best ball drafts, and maybe people are shifting into a redraft mentality, going with some of these older players, going with the CMC at the 302, going with the Eckler at the 305, Mixon at the 306. You have these veterans getting pushed up boards. This is very interesting. I'm going to be trying to track where some of these other players like Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb go throughout the course of this. Because if you were to ask someone, say, a month ago when we were in the heat of rookie hype, if they would have preferred Drake London versus Tyreek Hill, Drake London versus Austin Eckler, Drake London versus Joe Mixon, I would imagine most people would take Drake London. Maybe I'm wrong here. JN says, is getting Eckler and Chubb at the 406, 507 good value. Real money league, I got them there. Start is Watson, Wilson, Diggs, Eckler. Love that start. That's a win now team. Obviously, we're hoping that Watson doesn't get suspended for more than 8 games. But yeah, I mean, here you're looking at Eckler go with the 305, 306, which I think is pretty rich. But if you're getting Eckler at the 406, hell, great value. If you're getting Chubb at the 507, I'd imagine Chubb, based on where some of these other running backs have gone, probably goes a little bit higher than that as well. Justin Fields over Trevor Lawrence in this draft. You'll know I've been a massive Justin Fields hater for a very long time, but I was hating on Justin Fields when he was going at the beginning of the second round in startup drafts. I actually myself took Justin Fields in the 4th round of a couple startups this offseason. He is set up to fail in a miserable situation in Chicago. But what we can say with Justin Fields is he does have rushing upside. I can be the first person to admit that he does have rushing upside. Okay. So Colton says, who do I take with my 107? I'm assuming you're asking a 107 rookie pick. If you're talking about a rookie pick, there you're not going to have access to the top 5, that tier that we're really looking at with the Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, Drake London, Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall. You're not going to get those. I'd imagine Kenny Pickett in a super flex format's going at the 106. And my preference from the wide receivers that are left over, while I know most people would want Jameson Williams or Sky Moore, I'm going to prefer Chris Olave. I think Olave is the better prospect overall. But let's try not to talk too much about rookies. Let's focus in on this draft where you have Deontay Johnson going off the board at the 402. So you have a wide receiver run happening here. It looks like running backs are going to be the position falling to us at the end of the 4th. Saquon Barkley goes to the 403. Devontae Adams at the 404. Okay, so you have that continued, I don't want to say redraft mentality, but continuing to go and try to get points for that 2021 season. Trevor Lawrence finally off the board at the 405. Based on how bad he was his rookie year, it's hard to make an argument that that's a massive value. I think that's where he should probably go. Dalvin Cook goes to the 406, continuing to get these veterans off. Interesting. There's one name that I'm looking at here. There's one name that I'm really hoping for. Rodgers goes to the 407. Actually, I guess there are a couple players that I'd be fine with. Let me pull up my rankings on another page because this is what I really need to be testing out. This is why I want to do this on May 31st so we can test out those local rankings for the update tomorrow. I'm assuming DJ Moore's already gone. Okay, yeah. JN took DJ Moore at the 312. DJ Moore, just a player very similar to Waddle. A fantastic talent, stuck in a horrendous situation. Okay, Von Shotme is here, 105. Burrow, 208. Stafford, and then Eckler at the 305. One of the most professional-looking sleeper picks I've ever seen. I will say that. He goes Derrick Henry at the 408, continuing to see those veterans fly off. Travis Etienne goes to the 409. Travis Etienne was one of the players I was looking at. We will go through and we will take the other guy. I think you could make an argument for a couple different players here. Travis Etienne was my target, but we'll go Kenneth Walker, especially if you look at our start. So our start has been built around a young core so far with Breece Hall at the end of the second, Jaylen Waddle at the 303. But might as well just lean in the direction of continuing this same build if I don't necessarily think there's any player in this range that is a significantly better option than Walker. So I think you can make an argument for a receiver, but we may be able to get him on the way back around. Let's see what happens with E-Money and Dill Hud. Zach says, Mason, don't even. I swear. Zach ended up taking Etienne. I don't know who you're wanting us to go with our next pick, but hopefully we get to snipe you. And real quick, we just passed 50 likes on the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and dropping a like on the stream. Let me move this bar down so everybody can see the fifth. You have Chubb, Akers going at the end of the fourth. So it was looking like our call of taking running back at the 410 was probably correct. Carr goes to the 501. Really like the Derek Carr pick. I will say, if you're looking at the guaranteed money for Derek Carr, the contract extension he signed this offseason was fake. I will say that. Okay. What is E-Money doing? He's yet to go with the receiver. He has two quarterbacks with Mahomes, Jalen Hurts through the first two rounds. CMC, Nick Chubb in the third and fourth. I wonder if he goes Kelsey in the tight end premium format to get the stack with Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, that's exactly what he does. He goes with Kelsey. So I guess we built young. We are going to continue to build young. If you pull up my rookie rankings, I actually have Treylon Burks ranked ahead of Kenneth Walker. The reason we decided to pass on Burks is I was looking at Michael Pittman, Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson still on the board. So I was saying, okay, well, I'm pretty sure we're going to get Treylon Burks making it back to us at the 503. So I think we can pass on him here. That's exactly what we did. I know a lot of people would want to make the argument that we should have gone to Tagovailoa to get the stack with Jaylen Waddle, and that argument's valid. It's very easy. I was wrong, and we should have just gone to it. Zachary says, Superflex tight end premium. We got Patty Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Deebo Samuel, J.K. Dobbins, Travis Etienne. What are your thoughts? It's a great core. Stuck like halfway between rebuilding, halfway between. I think it's a great core. Okay, so Michael Pittman does end up going at the 504. If you went around and just created a poll, it just felt out the temperature of the entire Dynasty community, most people would prefer Michael Pittman over Treylon Burks. I think it's crazy. I personally think that if you're looking at Michael Pittman, the combination of his rookie and second year, I don't get why so many people are hyping up Michael Pittman to be this next elite breakout level player. If someone would like to explain it to me, I'm all ears. He did have a good target share last season, but who else was getting targets? Are we going to give a ton of targets to a 32-year-old T.Y.? No, that's not happening. Of course, he had a great target share last year. He wasn't a great prospect coming into the NFL. He didn't necessarily have that good of a rookie season. He was a high-end wide receiver 3 last year on a points per game basis. I mean, maybe it's the similar situation to Courtland Sutton, that he stayed healthy all season. So people are looking at the totals for Michael Pittman and going, oh, second year over 1,000 yards. That's great. Whereas they're not looking at the per game numbers. He played 17 games. Yes, he's big. It's easy to see upside with big and tall wide receivers. Very similar to Sutton. He's a high wide receiver 3, and now he's getting vaulted up probably to being an overdrafted player. Like I prefer Garrett Wilson over him. Even with Garrett Wilson being in a gross situation in New York, I probably prefer Tua Tagovailoa over him as well. So Elijah Moore goes at the 602 in that gross situation that we were discussing. So JN takes Antonio Gibson at the 601. Obviously, Antonio Gibson, one of the biggest fallers that you have had in both best ball leagues as well as dynasty formats. But it makes sense. They signed J.D. McKissic and didn't stop there. The fact that they went and drafted a running back inside the top 100 picks and signed J.D. McKissic is what's concerning. Because if they did one or the other, we can still make the argument, okay, they just wanted to bolster the depth. They just wanted to make sure they had nobody behind Antonio Gibson in case he went down. But when they're taking a player who's been the primary pass catcher for them for the past few seasons, indicating that they don't plan on giving Antonio Gibson the passing down role, and then they go get Brian Robinson as well, that's where it begins to get concerning. He led the NFL in fumbles last year. Maybe the coaching staff's tired of it. I'm not saying Antonio Gibson's a very bad pick at the 601. I'm explaining why he is going a lot later now than he was at the beginning of the offseason. Because if you remember the beginning of the offseason, he was going over someone like Travis Etienne. Okay, so Terry McLaurin goes to the 603. Okay. There is one player. Never mind. I was going to say, there's one player I was really wanting to make it to us. That is Jerry Judy, the alpha, the number one in Denver. But it is what it is. When you're drafting with the flock, these drafters are going to be a lot smarter, I think, than your average fantasy football, at least dynasty fantasy football player. Oh, that is brutal. Okay, so David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Mac Jones, Josh Jacobs, Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette, Devontae Smith, Chris Olave, Ezekiel Elliott, Keenan Allen, Jameson Williams, Elijah Mitchell, James Conner, Hollywood Brown, A.J. Dillon, Kenny Pickett, Amari Cooper, all best available. Mac Jones off the board of the 605. I would have taken Mac Jones if he fell to us at the 610. I was making the mistake taking Mac Jones too early at the beginning of the offseason. I think we had a couple mock drafts where I was going with Mac Jones in the middle of the 5th. The issue with Mac Jones, he can be a great NFL quarterback. Like, he can be exactly what the Patriots need. But at the same time, that doesn't necessarily guarantee he's going to be a fantastic fantasy option, because he's never going to pick up 100 rushing yards in a season. And when there are quarterbacks going out there like Jalen Hurts that can get to 700, oh dear God, you were behind the 8 ball. Now, Chris Olave at the 606. Hollywood Brown at the 607. I thought we were sneaking Hollywood Brown through. I thought we were going to get Hollywood at the end of the 6th, possibly beginning of the 7th, based on his sleeper ADP. I really thought we were going to be able to pull that off. Mike Evans goes to the 608. Yeah, Hollywood had an ADP after like 12 of these guys. I really thought we had him. Okay. Here is where it becomes interesting, because this is a mock draft. Obviously, we can't make trades right now. I don't want to give away too much of what I'm looking at, because we're going to be picking up the 703 as well. So there's a chance we get our player on the way back around. Let me scroll all the way down to make sure we're not missing anybody. Okay. See where Zach goes. 609. He goes Jameson Williams at the 609. Okay. I'm going to treat this like a real league, where I'm not trying to get the prettiest roster by the end of the draft. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get as much value onto this roster as humanly possible, because, hell, it's a dynasty. If this was real, we'd have over 100 days. I think actually exactly 100 days now. Maybe it was 101 yesterday, before we had to submit a starting lineup, before NFL kickoff. We have so much time to make trades. So even though he does not fit the roster construction, I think he is the best value on the board right now. We are going to go ahead and take David Montgomery, drafted in 2019. This is a running back that's still on his rookie contract. This is a running back that has no competition for touches at all in his offense going forward. So we'll take Montgomery at the 6'10". I really like this team taking Devontae Smith at the 6'11" to pair up with Jalen Hurts as their wide receiver 1 to get that stack in there. That's fantastic. It would have been much better for us to take a wide receiver in terms of just making our roster look pretty. But hell, if this was a real league, I want to believe I would be able to get more for David Montgomery through trade a month or two into the future than some of these other options in this range. Eric coming out says, depth or studs to win a championship in a 10-team league versus a 12-team league? Very simple. I mean, the shallower your overall league is, the more important that having studs at the very top are going to be. We write a ton about this in our Dynasty research book. But if you just think about it, if you're playing in a 10-team league, you're going to have better options on the waiver wire. So a roster spot's worth more. I mean, so if you go through and make a 2-for-1 deal, the player you're picking up off the waiver wire, if you add him into that trade, it's going to look more appealing, unless you can counteract this by, if it's a 10-team league and you start 12 guys, you start 13 guys, because then all of a sudden depth still matters. Okay, so E-Money is on the clock. Cousins went at the 7:01. What we want to see here is we want to see Josh Jacobs go, because if Jacobs doesn't, then all of a sudden we are in a situation where running backs just are not being valued in this league, and probably a mistake to take Montgomery at the 6'10". So Darnell Mooney goes to the 7:02. Based on how wide receivers are going in this draft, this was a real dynasty league. I'd say, okay, well, this league is obviously going to value the wide receiver position. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Rashad Bateman. He was a fantastic prospect coming out. Obviously, he failed this past season, and I've made this apology. I've said this God knows how many times, but my initial reaction when Hollywood Brown was traded, I was saying, oh, okay, it's not going to impact Rashad Bateman too much because Hollywood Brown's a speedy wide receiver stretching the field, not commanding a lot of volume. Well, like I've fixed that statement a million times before, I was wrong. I was an idiot. No, Hollywood Brown commanded almost 25% of this team's target share over the past 2 seasons. Hollywood Brown leaving is a big deal, plus the efficiency bump that we are going to be getting in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson coming back in. So we are going to go through and we are going to take Bateman at the 7:03. I would be interested to know your opinions on that. But real quick, if y'all have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream, subscribe to the channel. We have over 250 people watching live right now. So, come on, support the content. We've put out a Dynasty Fantasy Football video or live stream pretty much every day over the past 6-7 months. I don't even know how long. Okay, so Zach gets auto-drafted. Aaron Jones at the 7:04. Zach, get your ass back in here. What are we doing here? Okay, Keenan Allen at the 7:05. Andrew says, been waiting for the GOAT. Are you ripping another stream tonight? If I said this at the beginning, I'm about to go watch Top Gun. If I get back late tonight, maybe we can get an underdog draft going, but not another Dynasty startup. I'm mainly doing this so we can perfect our locals rankings for the update tomorrow. Okay, so Keenan Allen at the 7:05, Josh Jacobs at the 7:06. Great value on Jacobs. I mean, Josh Jacobs is 1 month older than Najee Harris. What? 1 month. This should be one of the better offenses in the NFL this upcoming season. I just didn't want to take our 4th running back and have the trolls in the comment section coming for my head. Okay. So let's see where Eric goes. Would be interested to see Eric go Pickett here. Pickett is the best available quarterback, and he has a Steelers logo. So that's my bet here. My bet's Pickett. Dead giveaway with the Steelers logo. Eric says, love Bateman, but I have a feeling Baltimore is going to draft a wide receiver in 2023. 100% possible. I mean, this is a team that right now their wide receiver 2 is Devin Duvernay. I went to Texas with Devin Duvernay. I like the man, but he's not a wide receiver 2 for an NFL offense. Vincent says, Mason, check the chat room and chime in. Okay, so Zach says he's in the draft and he accidentally got autoed. My man, I'm sorry you accidentally got autoed, but Nothing I can do about that. The train has left the station, and I want to flex on y'all. We were right with the call out that Eric does indeed end up going with Kenny Pickett at the 708. Playoff Vin takes Tom Brady at the 709 to continue to go through and build around the win now roster. He has Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. I'm assuming this is a team that would potentially look to flip Garrett Wilson for a value if they could. I am sure if he knew he was going to draft Tom Brady at the end of the 7th, he probably would have taken Chris Godwin instead of Garrett Wilson earlier. Christian Watson goes to the 801. And honestly, I may have Chris Godwin ranked neck and neck with Treylon Burks this past season. But the reason I don't consider Chris Godwin in this draft is because if you look at our build, like Godwin's not the player that you want whenever you've selected 3 future assets through the first 4 rounds. Like when you're in round 5 and you have a coin flip between someone that's going to be ranked back-to-back in your rankings with Treylon Burks or Chris Godwin, you're going with the player that fits your build. Okay, Zach says, the app crashed on my phone, but he was taking Aaron Jones anyway. Okay, good to know you were taking Aaron Jones regardless. Taylor says, who would you look to trade David Montgomery for? I would love to just, on this team, ship David Montgomery for a 2023 first. Like if this was a real league, 12-team Superflex, tight end premium, I would love to take David Montgomery here, 6'10". Hope that a contender needs a running back and sell him for a first. Mike Williams goes to the 803. We would have taken Mike Williams if he made it back to us at the 810 to get the stack with Justin Herbert, regardless of the build. So the best available players so far: Elliott, Elijah Mitchell, James Conner, Dalton Schultz, James Cook, Dallas Goedert, Pat Freiermuth, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Courtland Sutton, Dawson Knox, Juju Smith-Schuster, Damian Harris, DeAndre Hopkins, Miles Sanders, Michael Thomas. We may go way off the board. Elijah Mitchell goes to the 805. Good pick with Elijah Mitchell. Zeke at the 806. What quarterbacks are still available? Davis Mills, Jameis Winston. Okay, so quarterbacks, the quarterback position is pretty much done. Michael Thomas at the 807. There are very few players that you would ever get in this range, regardless if it's going to be Dynasty, best ball, redraft, whatever it is. The risk-reward ratio with Michael Thomas is so polarizing. Like you're never drafting Michael Thomas to the wide receiver 30 and then getting wide receiver 30 production. You're drafting Michael Thomas to the wide receiver 30 and then either getting top 10 production or getting nothing. Those are honestly kind of the players I look for. So I'm going to be drafting Michael Thomas, not necessarily in Dynasty as much as I would in a redraft league. Okay, so let's see where Zach goes. Zach has yet to go quarterback or tight end. He has 4 running backs and 3 receivers so far. Eric says he's definitely a fan of his own team. So Eric has Lawrence, Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett, so a young quarterback core. He has Jamar Chase at the 108, Cooper Kupp for some stud wide receivers, an elite tight end with George Kittle, Dobbins and Elijah Mitchell. Yeah, I could easily see why someone really likes that. Okay, he goes James Cook. We have an easy pick here, right? Yeah, this team's built young. This team's probably not built to win right away, but we're going to continue to take value where it is. In a tight end premium format, looking at Dalton Schultz with the targets that are available in Dallas this upcoming season, with the departure of not only Amari Cooper, but also Cedric Wilson. Like, that's a decent role opening up in this offense where Dalton Schultz was already pretty much a top 5 tight end last season on a points per game basis. The team led the NFL in overall points scored. So let's go ahead and take Dalton Schultz at the 810. Not really thinking about that too much. I think tight end premium format, it's almost a lock. Zach says, first time going truly young in a dynasty draft. Not sure how to feel about it. Let's go through and let's check it out. So we went Lance, got the Lance and Ayuk stack at a decent value. I really like that. London, Deontay Johnson, Elijah Morris as other wide receivers. The elite tight end in Kyle Pitts. I would say I just don't understand taking Zach Wilson over Mac Jones. Like, Mac Jones was good last year. Like, Zach Wilson was horrible. Horrible. Okay. I don't want to. So please, E-Money, take Courtland Sutton here. Take Courtland Sutton here, please, for the love of God. Take Courtland Sutton. Do it for me. He goes Allen Robinson. If If you've been watching this live stream long enough, you know I'm not a Courtland Sutton fan. But if you look at Courtland Sutton on Keep Trade Cut, wide receiver 33, pick 88, going before Ayuk, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Christian Watson, Leonard Fournette, Elijah Mitchell, Kirk Cousins, George Pickens, Ezekiel Elliott, James Cook. If this was a real league, which I'm treating it like it's a real league, I am willing to take players I hate. I'm willing to take players I don't like, knowing that there are 11 other owners that are potential trade candidates. So, please never bring this up ever again. We're going to take Courtland Sutton. And I know people are probably saying, Mason, what's up with the unwarranted hate of Courtland Sutton? I'm tired about this hate. But it's very simple. Courtland Sutton is a wide receiver 2 on the Denver Broncos. Jerry Judy is the alpha wide receiver 1. That's how it was last season. If you look at the receptions per game last year, when Jerry Judy played, like 1.4 for Courtland Sutton. It's like a wide receiver 8 or 9 from a fantasy football standpoint. Jerry Judy pretty much doubled his production on a per game basis in games they both played together. I know reports are saying Russell Wilson's favorite wide receivers, Courtland Sutton. I'll believe it when I see it. Okay. Dare says Mac Jones will be a backup by the time his rookie deal is done. I don't think that's like, why would that be the case? I mean, if you go through and if you look at what you had this past season from these rookie quarterbacks, Mac Jones was easily the best. Now, I'll admit, he doesn't have the same level of team investment as a Zach Wilson. Doesn't have the same level of team investment as a Trevor Lawrence. But hell, if we were looking at adjusted yards per attempt for these rookie quarterbacks, Mac Jones was at 7. That's good. For a rookie, that's great. Compared to Trevor Lawrence at 5.2, Zach Wilson at 5.3. Historically speaking, unless you're Josh Allen, you're never coming back from that. Historically speaking, you're way more likely to be Josh Rosen than Josh Allen when that's what you post. Gabriel Davis in the middle of the 9th. DeAndre, I really like all these values that people just got off the board. I think the past 4 picks have been really good. Okay, so let's go through. Mike says, Clyde Edwards-Helaire there, in my opinion, he's fallen way too far. I get it, my dude. I get it. He does go at the 909. Playoff Vin gets his first running back on the board. I believe Clyde Edwards-Helaire, only 23 years old, going into year 3 of his rookie contract, has no target competition whatsoever. So yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 23 years old. I agree. I think it's a very good pick. Music and Sports coming out says, a grade my Dynasty startup, a Superflex tight end premium format picks so far. At 10 with a 3rd round reversal, we have Kyler Murray in the 1st. No idea how you got Kyler Murray at 10. Deshaun Watson in the 2nd. Higgins in the 3rd. DJ Moore in the 4th. Travis, you're just flexing on us, my man. You know it's a great team. You know it's a great team. You know it's a great draft. That's definitely a better draft than anybody has had in here. I think probably the competition in this one is a little bit tougher, but that's fantastic. Okay, so Gallup goes at the 10:01. Kadarius Toney at the 10:02. Okay, so these wide receivers continue to go. And what's interesting, if you look at the yards per route run for Kadarius Toney this past season, he posts one of the best rookie seasons that we have seen in a very long time with yards per route run, obviously besides the guys like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. But you have injury concerns, overall offensive environment concerns with Daniel Jones. Also, this coaching staff has no allegiance to Kadarius Toney. They weren't there when he was drafted in the 1st. Instead, they probably want to be incentivized to make sure Wan'Dale Robinson, their investment, is highlighted and is shown off. But I understand going Toney at the 10:02. Michael Carter goes to the 10:03. I have Michael Carter a ton in best ball. I feel like it's tough to invest into him here over some of these other positions. Deegs coming out says, hot take, Christian Watson's the most overrated Dynasty asset this year. People are hyping him up because of the side speed combo, but he had drop problems against D2 corners, and Aaron Rodgers likely gone next year. Okay, a couple things wrong with this, my friend. A, Aaron Rodgers, if you look at the contract, not gone next year. B, drops are the least predictive statistic at the wide receiver position going forward. Because the wide receiver had a lot of drops one season, Deontay Johnson in 2020, doesn't mean, historically speaking, that it's going to be an issue after that. I agree with you that I think he's being hyped up based on that size-speed combination, and you do not want to be chasing players that are hyped up because of their size-adjusted athleticism at the wide receiver position. We do want to be chasing them at running back, but not at wide receiver. So I agree with you on that point, but not the other two. Drops are probably the last thing on the laundry list of metrics that you should be looking at. And unless I'm an idiot, I think Aaron Rodgers is guaranteed next year. Like, let me pull up this contract. I think Aaron Rodgers is guaranteed through the next 3 years. Yeah, so he signed a $6 million deal. Yeah, the next 3 years he's going to be there. He's $100 million guaranteed still next year. 150 dead cap this season, 100 dead cap next year, $24 million on the dead cap in 2024. So possibly 2024, you could see Rodgers gone, but not in 2023. Okay. So Hunter Renfro goes at the 10:06. Are we going to end up taking, I don't want to say it out loud. Chase Claypool goes the 10:07. Yeah, I guess it's going to happen. I'm not excited about it. Vaughn shot me on the clock. They have a very balanced start so far. Okay, and I am sorry. Like I said, I do need to go to the movies. I told my family I'd go meet them there. And it is closing in on that time. So I'm probably going to make this pick and then my 11th, and then we're going to have to bounce. I appreciate all of y'all, though. Thank you so much for coming out to the startup. We should have those rankings updated over there on Locals tomorrow. And even if you don't want to pay for anything on Locals, go join anyway. There are Dynasty Leagues posted there all the time. You can get in a group chat. Just be a part of the Flock community. Come on. If you need to talk to people about Dynasty Fantasy Football, that's going to be the place to do so. Cole Kmet at the 10:09. I don't like taking Davis Mills. I think they have a very good shot at getting either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud next season. But at the 10:10, I'll invest into Davis Mills. Hell, outside of Mac Jones, he was probably the second best rookie quarterback last season. Now he has no team investment at all. He has no rushing upside at all. So no, you should not value him over Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence. Now, obviously, you prefer all the other rookie quarterbacks. I don't want to act like Davis Mills is some great value here at the end of the 10th, but he does fit this team. Okay, so Gesicki goes to the 10-12. And let me show off this entire draft board real quick and also grab a screenshot of it for anybody who is missing this live stream. But let me know who y'all thought had the best team. I think our team was respectable here. If I had to choose a word for our draft, I would say respectable through the first 10 rounds. And our last pick, yeah. We're focused in. We're zeroed in. We got a guy. See where E-Money goes. He's 3 running backs, 4 receivers, 2 quarterbacks, and a tight end. And also, one thing that's annoying is when you're drafting on Underdog, like the ADP is so good that you don't even need to bother scrolling. But here you do. Like a Jared Goff has an ADP of 151 and Desmond Ridder has an ADP of 128. Like, are you kidding me? God. We'll go ahead, take Tony Pollard and say, deuce to the live stream. Going to go watch Top Gun 2. Thank you so much for being a part of the flock, though, and supporting the channel. Please make sure you go down there, drop a like, subscribe if somehow you're not subscribed by now. And also, go join Locals. Find the link in the live chat. Completely free. There is some stuff behind the paywall, like access to our rankings, but outside of that, the majority of stuff over there is going to be free. So go join if y'all want extra content, if you want to be a part of the community. And I think that's all I got for y'all. Thank you again, and I hope you have a great day.